What if the very company that built your legacy was the one that eventually buried you? That's the haunting reality for some of America's most iconic car brands. Let's start with Oldsmobile. Picture pioneering the automotive world, only to be dismantled by the corporation you helped create. Founded by Ransom E. Olds, this marquee launched the Curved Dash Olds, America's top-selling car, in 1903. Its recipe was simple: affordability, simplicity, and ruggedness. But joining General Motors in 1908 began a golden age and a slow decay. For decades, Oldsmobile was GM's brilliant prodigy. They pioneered the automatic transmission, the first high-compression V8, and even turbocharging for the masses. In the 50s and 60s, legends like the Rocket 88 cemented their status as the perfect middle ground, more refined than a Chevy, but more accessible than a Cadillac. Then the 1970s arrived, and GM's boardroom decided individuality was a cost, not a feature. Suddenly, every GM car shared the same silhouette. Your Oldsmobile was a clone of a Buick, a Pontiac, a rental car. Its unique soul was erased. Then came the engine scandal. Demand for Oldsmobile's Rocket V8 was so intense that GM secretly installed Chevrolet engines instead. When customers discovered the swap, outrage erupted. Lawsuits flew. GM's solution: just badge every engine generically, a move that only deepened the distrust. But the final blow was the disastrous diesel V8, an engine so flawed it shattered public faith in diesel technology and shattered Oldsmobile's reputation for good. By the end, the brand had lost its innovative spirit and its loyal followers. A final, cringeworthy ad campaign declared, "This isn't your father's Oldsmobile," alienating the few remaining buyers. In 2004, after 106 years, the last Oldsmobile rolled off the line. Innovation wasn't enough to save a brand that lost its soul. Next, Saturn. Conceived as GM's answer to Japanese imports, it was meant to be a different kind of car company. Launched in 1985 with a massive budget, it promised a new approach, new factories, new labor rules, a friendly, no-haggle buying experience, and people adored it. The first Saturns were reliable, efficient, and backed by a feel-good, community-focused brand. Sales soared, moving over 300,000 S-Series cars by 1994. But behind the cheerful image, Saturn was a financial black hole. The cost of being different was staggering, with losses reportedly hitting $3,000 per car. So, in classic GM fashion, they killed its uniqueness. Saturn was forced to share platforms and designs with other GM divisions. The Aura was an Opel, the View a Chevy, the Ion a bland imitation. Its loyal fans grew up and wanted SUVs, but Saturn was late to the party. When GM's bankruptcy hit in 2009, Saturn was deemed expendable and quietly axed. It was a brilliant experiment killed by corporate conformity. Then there was Pontiac, the brand that once defined American muscle. Starting as a sensible middle child, it became beige wallpaper by the 1940s. But then a revolution named John DeLorean arrived. The 1964 GTO was a family sedan with a monstrous V8. It was rebellious, intoxicating, and it ignited the muscle car era. The 60s and 70s were Pontiac's peak. The Firebird, the Trans Am, these weren't just cars, they were rock stars on wheels. Sales hit a record 9 to 20,000 in 1973. But then GM's corporate machine demanded uniformity. The Rebel was forced into a suit. Stricter emissions laws strangled performance. The Fiero sports car had promise, but also a tendency to catch fire. Then came the Aztek, a design so universally panned it became a pre-internet meme. Pontiac's last gasp, the potent G8 sedan, was a masterpiece. But the 2009 bankruptcy sealed its fate. GM's accountants asked who was least essential, and Pontiac was executed. Mercury, Ford's forgotten middle child, began with promise in 1938. It was meant to be semi-luxury, a bridge between Ford and Lincoln. The 1939 Mercury 8 was an instant hit. Post-war, it was the car of rebels and customizers. The 1960s were its golden age. The Cougar was the Mustang's sophisticated cousin. By 1978, it sold 580,000 cars. But the badge engineering plague hit Ford, too. Soon, every Mercury was just a Ford with a minor costume change. The Cougar became a Thunderbird, the Topaz a fancy Tempo. By 2010, Ford executives admitted they had no idea what Mercury was anymore. After 72 years, it was shut down without fanfare. Plymouth was Chrysler's hero, the brand that saved the company. Launched in 1928, it was the clever, affordable blue-collar champion. It pioneered features like hydraulic brakes. It carried Chrysler through the Great Depression. In the 60s and 70s, it was a muscle car titan. The Barracuda beat the Mustang to market. The Roadrunner and Cuda were legends. By 1973, it sold nearly 1 million cars. But the oil crisis crippled Chrysler. To survive, they homogenized their brands. Plymouth, Dodge, and Chrysler all look the same. The Voyager was a Caravan clone. The Neon was a Dodge. Its identity vanished. The final insult was the PT Cruiser. Originally designed as a Plymouth, this retro hit was launched as a Chrysler instead, selling 144,000 units in its first year. The brand that saved Chrysler was erased in 2001. Hummer was the definition of excess. Inspired by Arnold Schwarzenegger and the military Humvee, the H-1 was a civilian tank. It was slow, thirsty, and impractical, but it was the ultimate status symbol. GM bought the brand and launched the H-2 in 2002. It was a luxury fortress, selling over 150,000 units. But by 2008, $4 gas and a financial crash made gas guzzlers toxic. GM's bankruptcy forced a fire sale. They tried to sell Hummer to a Chinese firm, but the deal collapsed. The loudest, proudest brand was gone. Finally, Saab, the car for intellectuals. It began as an aircraft maker. Its first car, the 1948 Saab 92, was an aerodynamic oddity. It was safe, practical, and clever, with front-wheel drive and brilliant turbos. It built a cult following. Owning a Saab said you valued brains over flash. The ignition was in the console, like a jet. Then General Motors bought it, and GM did what GM does. It forced Saab to share platforms, creating rebadged Subarus and Chevys that betrayed its unique DNA. Saab never made money. After the 2008 crisis, GM sold it to Tiny Spiker, which lacked the funds. A potential Chinese buyout was blocked by GM, which still owned the tech. By 2011, Saab, the quirky genius, was dead. Some brands are just too unique for a corporate world. These are the stories of legends that fell. If you found this journey through automotive history fascinating, do the one thing that helps this channel more than anything. Give this video a like and subscribe to Winds of Thought.